And welcome once again to the Survival Report Podcast. Survival Report Podcast, most of which are available two ways. One is at survivalreportpodcast.com, survivalreportpodcast.com, hosted on our forums at survivalandpreparedness.com, survivalandpreparedness.com. Be sure you come check out the forums, guys. Lots of interesting folks, lots of knowledgeable folks talking about many survival and preparedness related subjects. And the other way you can hear some of, not all of, some of the podcasts is on our YouTube channel at survivalreport.net. Again, survivalreport.net. And I think I got that figured out as far as I made up a template, roughly 25-30 minutes long, that just has pictures in there, because evidently you have to have that. You have to have some pictures, not just the audio, or something I'm not doing right, I don't know. Anywho, so from this one on, the pictures will be essentially the same on any of the podcasts that will show up on YouTube. So the pictures do change throughout the, I think they're on a 30-second spread, which is the highest spread I could figure out on that Windows, on that particular Windows program. But if you want to watch watch it once, there is some interesting photos there. A lot of them are shown again and all that good stuff, but it's better off just to, minimize it, listen to it, and do other things on the net. Maybe go by the forums at survivalandpreparedness.com. Maybe go by our sponsor at jrhenterprises.com and check out and plan your next survival and preparedness purchase. Maybe it's a PBS 14 3rd-gen Pinnacle automated night vision device. On sale as low as $2,500 for brand new 3rd-gen Pinnacle automated real deal PVS 14s, not the knockoffs that use the L3 tubes or some proprietary parts from Russia, some proprietary parts from China, the actual military parts, so that, guess what? Yeah, you got a 5-year warranty. It's the best in the business, but 20, 30 years down the line, you'll be able to find spare parts. Why? Because the military stocks tens of thousands of spare parts for things like this. It's the equivalent of buying an AK or an AR for your main rifle versus, some Italian Carcano and 6.5 millimeter, or some oddball commercial rifle, which there was, 200 or 300 of them made. Good luck finding spare parts for that in the paw. But, be easier to find spare parts for your AK or AR, that sort of thing. So it's a commonality type issue, and that works with your night vision and that as well too, guys. So again, jrhenterprises.com. And as always, the Survival Report Podcast would like to thank some of our other supporters, including the North Georgia Coal Mullen Society, the North Georgia Coal Mullen Society, and a relatively recent addition in, I believe that was back in December-ish, something around that. Started helping the podcast as well as the Central Florida Coal Mullen Society, the Central Florida Coal Mullen Society. And as always, we appreciate their support as well. If you want to support the podcast, forums, any of that good stuff, at Survival Report Podcast, there is a donut button, not a donut button, good night, a donate button on the top, about middle of the screen there. So again, and we appreciate anything you can do, or support our sponsors in that, buy something from them, tell them that you heard about it on the podcast or on YouTube, all that good stuff. That is good to know, guys. It does take a lot of time to make these kind of things, between processing it, recording it, the whole 9 yards. So we appreciate folks that, like we say on the forums, if you eat regularly at the table here, well, every so often take a turn helping clean up the kitchen. And what that means is you support the folks that support you. All too often we've lost that concept with people that we work with, and that we kind of just come to expect them to always be there and expect them to always do things for us for nothing. Kind of like the entitlement mentality, that sort of thing. So if you eat regularly at the table, by all means, guys, wash a few dishes from time to time, and that's just the right thing to do. All right, getting into it today, I had a email question, I believe it came from YouTube actually, where a guy was talking about, seems like your emphasis has changed a little bit the last couple years. Your early videos seem to all be about, homesteading and growing fruit trees and gardening and yada, yada, yada. Did you did you have an epiphany about that? I didn't write down the exact way he worded it, so I'm kind of just paraphrasing here. But, like I had just changed my emphasis on stuff, being that we're covering more, firearms tactics related things and stuff like that on there. No, it hasn't really changed. I'll tell you the difference is that, especially for a really, really long time there, we were kind of just staying a little bit more under the radar screen. And I think, by all means, if you're already on there under the radar screen, it's a good thing to do that. Therefore, I was hesitant to put video out, things like that had, my smiling face there, maybe working an AK or working a Glock or something like that. Over time, I just realized that, hey, just get over it, sort of thing. And that's a big part of it as well, too. But our emphasis has never just been on homesteading. So often early on, as is the case, unfortunately, with YouTube, a lot of times you get the 12-year-old using their mommy's computer, or you get the, the jerk that's never actually accomplished anything in their life or whatever else, or just, that guy that puts some smart-ass comments up and, things like that. And I got a lot of these, somebody's going to take all that good-looking corn from you, and of course the person had no flippin' idea whatsoever what I've done in my life, the training I've had, the experiences I've had, plans, just because we don't blather on about security and show a lot of security features of our retreat doesn't mean they're not there. I am not a gunless, weaponless, pacifist or whatever. And guys, I got a news flash for you. Even some of the hippies and people that really call themselves hippies and that aren't like that either. They're armed as well. Liberals, even a lot of retarded liberals are arming themselves nowadays, guys. So to go into the assumption that just because somebody talks a lot about growing corn or raising rabbits or something like that they're unarmed is pretty much the height of stupidity, to be honest, because why would somebody go to all of the trouble of moving away from the cities, of changing their lifestyle, of getting out and growing food, of showing food that they've been storing for, 20 years, whatever, and not take the defensive applications, or in a lot of cases, offensive applications, extremely serious? We're always a big proponent of being well-rounded. If you can grow corn and grow tomatoes and everything else, and do a lot of good homesteading stuff, but you can't defend what you got, well, that's not well-rounded. Or if you're the stereotypical, my grandpappy taught me to shoot when I was 12, I don't need no professional training, I shoot me 200 rounds a year, and that keeps me proficient. Okay, that's those days are gone, guys. If you're thinking along those lines, it's time to leave play school. It's time to leave kindergarten and start moving up a little bit in your training and your experience and getting outside the box a little bit in that. So my emphasis hasn't changed. It's just what I'm willing to show and talk about in a more public atmosphere has. We've always emphasized the defensive things, guys. We've always focused on that. It just, just might not have been what I felt like throwing out and exposing myself or being known for at that particular time. So little bit backstory as far as that goes. But the question was also, as far as, the follow-up with part of his question was essentially, why homesteading? And, a lot of people, of course, right now want to believe or assume and to a degree, it's a rightful assumption that we're not far away from, a civil war or some sort of, excuse me, activities like that within the United States. And in that realm, a dedicated survival retreat would be of a lesser value than it would in, say, an economic collapse, a full-blown nuclear war, asteroids and superflu and blah-de-de-blee and blah-de-de-blue, okay? However, that doesn't mean that anything's a certainty. I get a little miffed sometimes at people who tend to focus too much on one scenario. It's like a lot of the, folks that you see on the little TV show, where it's like, I'm preparing for the, Yellowstone super volcano to, that's stupid. Then guess what? What's going to happen? You're going to get smacked upside the head by something else, And oftentimes as survivalists and now, quote, preppers and all that good stuff, we tend to have our little, pet scenarios that we want to focus on to the detriment of everything else. How many of you listening have any decent nuclear preps? And I'm not talking about, an old bottle of KI that you think is going to be your magic radiation pills that doesn't even do but, blocks one specific isotope from one specific organ in your body, and that's it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a fallout shelter. I'm talking about working survey meters that have been calibrated in the last 500 years. Masks, quality filters, protective suits, more importantly also the knowledge to use those sorts of things. Very few of us have those sorts of things. Why? Because it's an uncomfortable subject. Because a lot of people don't even want to deal with that. Ditto with chemical attack, chemical protection, that sort of thing. A lot of these things will play over into each other, but we have to be very careful that we don't get too focused on our one pet peeve thing, or what seems like is in the forefront right now, i.e. Martial law, civil war, or even economic collapse. All of those are very high probabilities right now if you were looking at the matrix of what could happen. And again, I'm not saying it will happen. If you read any of my old stuff and, listen to any of the old school, even back in the 90s shows and things like that on shortwave, we have never ever said that we expect the stuff to hit the fan and blah, 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 blah. And, that's a bunch of BS. We have never ever said that. Quite the contrary, that's where the Cole Mullen concept came from, was, the fact that, me just trying to make it in an easy, palatable, easy to remember concept that, you prepare for life. You prepare to live this way so you can save money and you're ready if something does happen, but you're not, living your life, sitting in the bunker, sitting in the OP every day going, the stuff's going to hit the fan tomorrow. I heard Alex Jones say that, or, Steve Quayle said the country was going to be nuked by July 4th, 1996. That sort of thing. That's not what we're about. That's not what we're talking about. You prepare not based out of fear. You prepare based out of the fact that, it's a common sense thing to do, guys. And if you don't get that, then to be honest, just go ahead and turn it off, because it's anything based on a negative emotion like fear won't last. I can't tell you the hundreds of people I've met over the last 27 years that have burned out. Why? Because they were chasing dates, because they were chasing the current fear, that sort of thing. So, again, while, civil war, martial law, economic collapse seem like the most current things right now, you know what? Let me tell you something. They looked that way in the 90s as well. They looked that way in 92, 93, 95, and we were very close to it. I feel a lot closer than we are now. However, that shouldn't, again, put blinders on to every other possible scenario. That shouldn't make you do that. That's silly. All right. Should we, be flexible in our preparedness to take into account varying changing events and things like that? By all means, we should flow like a river, baby. We should. That's what good strategy's about. However, we got to be really careful to nail down to, oh, no, there's going to be a civil war here next week, and there's going to be, no, there's not. And you don't know that, and no one knows that, and anybody that tells you that is just probably trying to sell you something, or just trying to, hype up something, maybe a newsletter or something they're pitching, guys. That happens all the damn time, unfortunately, in this movement. I've seen it a bajillion times from a bajillion different people. Okay, always an interesting time. I record these while I'm out working, doing errands, various things like that, and almost just had something fly out of the truck. So apologize for the little pause there where it sounded like I was a little preoccupied, because I was looking to make sure something wasn't going out the back of the truck. All right. So again, we don't want to get too focused on what we might feel or what might be the most obvious thing at that current time. For example, right now, guys, what do we have? We have all this concern for martial law, for civil war, for potential of an economic collapse, even further than it already has, that sort of thing. However, what about Syria? What about, chemical weapons being used there? The fact that could start a war, a massive war in the Middle East. How will that affect us here? Well, it'll screw up the economy, number one. Number two, you couldn't rule out more terrorist attacks on the ground here in the U.S., maybe chemical or biological attacks. So, Russia gets involved, maybe full-on nuclear war. We don't know. So when we get too focused on just one specific thing, sometimes it's to the detriment of everything else. So getting back to the why homesteading thing question, the biggest thing too is, and we've talked about this before, is obviously security. Where you're in the country, you have a little bit more distance. Distance usually gives you time to react, gives you time to act, allows you a little bit more options. Me spotting and detecting via various things, somebody beginning to leave a county road to another road that goes another half mile down to anywhere near our house, detecting them a half mile away gives me options. Why? Because I have that barrier, all right? I have those gates, I have those fences, all that good stuff. And those are legal barriers as well. So, the whole, I was just, walking around here, that doesn't really play, okay? You take somebody into court, and all of a sudden it's, so let me get this straight, Mr. Burglar. You didn't realize that when you jumped those two fences, when you passed those two no trespassing signs, when you ran past the razor wire and the dogs and blah, 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 blah. Guys, you never have to forget about that. It's not going to be probably a full-on Mad Max type of deal. Even if it's a short-term, couple months or whatever, law and order being gone, you might have to count for your actions. So that's the other thing about fencing and your physical barriers like that, is they're deterrents, and they're also legal barriers as well. All right. So whereas in the city, you're in an apartment or something like that, somebody could, very easily just walk right up to your front door. And, since it's common areas and things like that, or the sidewalk that goes to within, 5 yards of the front of your house, that's not much warning. That's very little time for somebody to, bam, kick your door in and they're in your house, okay? No options there. You gotta fight. Whereas in the country, with that little layering of the distance and things like that, it gives you various other options as well. So obviously security, and of course less people equals what? Equals less problems. 500,000 starving people around you in the city, well, guess what? Maybe 1% of them are prepared, maybe. Okay, so that's 495,000 people that are competing with you for resources or looking at you as a resource. What about in the country? For example, in the county that I'm in, it has less than 10,000 people in the entire county. In the area of the county that I live in, there's maybe 100 people, 200 people, if that, in a couple mile radius. That's a lot less people to worry about. Are there still problems in the country? Yes, without a doubt. We got the same crackheads, we got the same meth labs and child abusers and various other filth that they have in the city. There's just what? There's just a hell of a lot less of them, okay? And that's the important thing. The equation is less people equals less potential trouble. So that's the other reason you seek that. Why homestead? Again, logistics. Being able to, the comment was said one time, oh, well, everybody that moves to the country, they think they're going to be fully self-sufficient. No, it's never been about being 100% self-sufficient. It's never, ever been about that. All right, what it's been about is lessening your dependence on Georgia Power, Florida Power, lessening your dependence on Publix or Walmart or wherever the hell you buy your food from, that's a huge chain that goes all the way back to, Pepe down in Mexico, who took a crap next to your, pepper plant and picked the pepper that you're eating and didn't wash his hands right there, okay? It's about, those things work out into being then control. When you're growing your own peppers, well, you know that Pepe didn't crap right next to your peppers, all right? And that's kind of an important thing, which means you're not getting E. coli from the darn things, all right? Which means what? It means further control. So it's not about being 100% self-sufficient and blah, 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 blah. It's not about that. It's about lessening your dependence upon other people. That is really the heart of what preparedness should be about, all right? And it can be in stopgap measures, preparedness as far as just stocking stuff, getting the 24-pack of the little 8-ounce bottles of water and going, oh, this is my water plan. Okay, that's a stopgap method because it's only going to last you a little bit of time. You want to be able to have a water source. You want to be able to pull it with or without electricity or produce your own electricity to pull the water. You want to be able to filter it. You want to have options with the rainwater catchment and that so that you can filter that if you need to, or you can use that to irrigate your plants or take care of your animals and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's about lessening your dependence on the system, all right? It's not about being 110% self-sufficient and blah, 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 blah. It's about lessening your dependence on the system. It's about not having to rely solely upon other people for every damn thing you need, all right? And that's what, you don't have those kinds of options usually in the city to be able to do those sorts of things. Why? Because you have a postage stamp backyard, if you have a backyard at all. Your water system is some chlorinated crap from the county or the city or whatnot. Your sewage is dependent on an elaborate system of sewage from your city or from your county or whatever. And there may be all kinds of HOA Nazi zoning requirements and things like that don't allow you to have chickens or have raised goats or even catch your own rainwater and all kinds of stupid stuff like that. So that's that comes into it as well. The biggest factor for me, I've been, whenever somebody can't win a debate with you, and I like to debate just topics, they always get personal. And, that's a sign of weakness. It's a liberal tactic. It's pretty flippin' weak, to be honest. But what has always happened to me is when people couldn't win a debate with me online or whatever or in person, it's the whole, oh, well, you ran to the woods because you were scared of the shit hitting the fan. No, I never ran to the woods because I was scared of shit hitting the fan. I ran to the woods because this has been my plan, for all of my adult life and a good part of my teenage life. And it was to have a place in the country, to raise my children there, to, lessen my dependence on other people, to grow my own food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So why? Why do I do that? Why do I continue to do that? Is it always a fun thing to do? No, not always. Some days it really sucks. It's a lot of work. It's a lot more than I'd be doing if I just, lived in an apartment in, New York City, the best city in the world and all that kind of retarded stuff. Is it a lot? It's a hell of a lot more work. Why do I do it? Because here's my number one reason. Cost. I'm a control freak as well. I like to control my resources and things like that. I like to know that, my water is safe and I know where it comes from and I know it isn't getting chlorinated and fluorinated and, whatever else. I like to know that my food is fresh. I go and pick something, I take it in, and it gets eaten right then. Okay, great. Or it gets, if there's an abundance of it, it gets canned or it gets dried or whatever, or frozen and put up. That's my chain. I'm in control of that chain for the most part, all right? Weather and everything are always variables and that sort of thing. But the biggest thing is cost. Everybody is always concerned about, doing things on the cheap now. Everybody that waited to start preparing until the economy went in the toilet, is always, I got to do things on the cheap. I got to do things on the cheap. Well, why weren't you preparing during the times of abundance? We had our slow times in, from about 2000 up through 2006, 2007. Everybody else I knew had their abundant times then. Why? Because they were either using their damn house as an ATM and jacking all kinds of money out of that and buying a bunch of crap they couldn't afford, or maybe they were in the real estate or the construction industry or various things like that, and they were making money hand over fist. And but I thank the Lord for that time for us that it was really tough, because it forced me to get serious about getting out of debt and finally getting out of debt. It made me to look serious at what we could do to cut costs. Every bit of food we raised on our own was something we didn't have to go to the store and buy. It taught me to really live frugally and like it. All right, that's the important thing, and like it. People will suffer through something for a short period of time because they have to. But when you really kind of change your lifestyle habits and things like that, then it's not suffering through to get over with it. This is how we live. Okay, and guys, I like doing some money blowing type stuff from time to time, and I think nothing some days, once a month or so or whatever, of going and dropping $40 on a nice steak out with the family, or sushi or something like that. But that's not an everyday type of thing. And the money that we're saving on a regular basis, in my book, more than covers all of that sort of thing. And while it's a good time for us now, we have spent enough time in the drier periods and the famine type periods to understand what it's like, and to understand where we still need to watch and put money back and put more things back during the abundant times. And that's what we should all be doing. So again, why homestead? Security, logistics, being the factory to a small extent, not just being the warehouse. Well, if you're just the warehouse, i.e. if you just have things stocked, guess what? Everything you pull out is depleting your warehouse. And, even if you have, 2, 3, 4 Sealand containers full of food, you're still just making withdrawals. You're not putting in any deposits if you're not growing some, raising some on your own. So, again, being able to own kind of the factory or a small factory to replenish the warehouse and that as well, too. Guys, we have a boatload of, freeze-dried and dehydrated vegetables, fruits, and things like that in our family storage. We have dipped into those so very little over the last 6 or 7 years because of the fact that we grow so much vegetables, we grow so much fruit in that it's kind of silly to dip into that stuff. And again, another reason why you stick with true long-term storage stuff versus, cutting corners in that is got plenty of time, never had a failure yet on any of that older stuff. Cost savings, we talked about that. Being able, you want to survive an economic collapse? Hey, no hella better place than sitting there with no debt, with no car payment, with no, power bill because you're producing your own power, with a very lessened food bill because you're growing, 50%, 60%, whatever of your food on a yearly basis. That sort of thing. So that's why I homestead. And be interested to hear why you homestead. Feel free to chime in on the forum there, or chime in on the YouTube comments. Why do you homestead? Why is it important to you? How does it tie in to your survival plans, your preparedness plans? Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.